All right, I just told you the dream thing. Now you want to talk about Bill? Because I just saw the most haunting scene from Passion of the Cross explain. You want me to explain something about it? See, they don't even know this shit that they made up what it means. So at the Transfiguration, when Moses shows up, because Moses is dead, so he's a demon, because it says in Ecclesiastes, right? If a dead person, you entertain a dead person, you're entertaining a demon. And Elijah's there, who got taken up to heaven, right? So that makes sense. But Moses died in the desert, right? So that doesn't make sense. So he must be a demon. So Jesus has got demons hanging out, right? It should have been Elijah and Enoch, but apparently they needed to put Moses in there. I'm going to tell you why they needed to put Moses in there, right? Because then, when Jesus is hanging on the cross, who's on? There's two people on his left and his right, just like the Transfiguration. And it's supposed to represent Elijah and Moses again, because they're criminals. Because it's Roman propaganda. So Moses and Elijah are now criminals, right? And one Jesus goes, one of you will be in heaven with me, and the other one won't. Right? Who doesn't get to go to heaven? Moses doesn't, because we're good singers of Judaism and the law. Right? But apparently, like when they were plagiarizing and making all this stuff up, like the original, like people who Caesar and Augustus forgot to tell everybody what the story was. Because that's why there's two criminals on Jesus' left and right. Because it's supposed to represent the Transfiguration. But now Moses and Elijah are criminals and being crucified too. Not being crucified. One will be in heaven with me, the other won't. So I guess that's Moses, right? I don't know. Or was Elijah the one who doesn't get to go to heaven? But that's what it's supposed to represent. A Pope Dionysus. You know there's a Pope named Dionysus? Pope Dionysus. Right, the vine, the vine, Dionysus, the vine, not the branch, because Zechariah says I'm sending a branch, but Pope Dionysus probably knew that. You know there's a Pope Dionysus? How is there a Pope Dionysus? Do you want to know another secret about the Vatican? That's why they started changing their names, right? Because they realized they had a problem, because they made up Christianity, so they made up this section of popes, and they put Pope Dionysus in there and Pope Apollo. And then they realized, like, later on, they're like, oh, wait, this is supposed to be monotheistic. We can't do that. Because people are going to be like, how's there a pope named Dionysus? Because that's like a Greek god. That's not, and they're Pope Apollo. Right? So then the Vatican came up with this brilliant idea. They're like, okay, here's what we'll do. After the pope gets named, we'll start changing our names. Right? They'll take on a new name. And the reason they started doing that is because they realized they had a problem, because they named some pope. They made up a bunch of popes, the succession of Peter, and they named them Dionysus and Apollo. And they're like, well, how are we going to explain that? Here's how we'll explain it. That was just their original name. But now, when you become one with Christ, it sends a name when you become the vicar. For real. There's all kinds of like little tricky tricks. Like, maybe we should get Bishop Barron or Cardinal Dolan to fucking go on Good Morning in America and explain it to us.